Hello and welcome to Denver Data Web's Digital Strategy Chat. We are a digital marketing company. We help our clients overcome their unique challenges with a goals-focused approach to web development, web design, and digital marketing. I'm Sarah Joswiak. I'm the digital marketing analyst with Denver Data Web, and today we have Justin.
Hi, I'm Justin. I'm a web designer and developer here at Denver Data Web.
Thank you, Justin, and thanks everyone for joining us today. Today we're going to discuss reputation management, which what is reputation management? It refers to your online reputation that is visible to the public. In short, it's reviews. I'm sure that nearly everyone who's watching this has relied on reviews when choosing a restaurant, a home contractor, anything else like that. We've actually mentioned before in a way that many of us pretty much live online nowadays, especially with COVID and the world the way it is. We rely on reviews and online information for pretty much so many things that we do. I remember even back when I was a kid, my parents wouldn't even consider reading reviews before checking out a new place or a new restaurant. And the reason why is things just weren't readily available in that way. You know, if we ran across a restaurant review in a paper or a movie review, we might look at that. But actively seeking those reviews, it just wasn't available. And now that those things are everywhere and in multiple places, we use those reviews to make decisions almost every day. Even if it's just like, which gas station in the area are we going to? Some people use that. So that being said, your business's online reputation is more important than ever nowadays. So let's actually dive into some details about a reputation management and your online reviews. We're going to go over things like negative reviews that come from non-customers, review bombs and how to deal with those, some best practices for dealing with legitimate good reviews and bad reviews, and some things not to do, along with some tools that we can use to help assist you in building your online reputation management. Justin, do you have anything to start off with before we dive into it?
No, I think that covers everything. Let's go ahead and get started.
All right, great. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is negative reviews that come from non-customers. If you run a business, or even if you run a business's review platforms, you may see that sometimes you get negative reviews from non-customers, and that's very frustrating, first of all. And then it's also, you may notice that like Google and Yelp don't care that the customer's never been there. So it is sometimes it's frustrating. It's difficult to deal with. The good news is that you can actually report negative reviews if they violate policy. If you get a review and you're just like, this customer they're not even talking about my business, this isn't something that we deal with, you can report that review. There is no guarantee that they're going to take it down unless the customer or that reviewer is violating policy. One thing also to note is know the violations that are in order, because you can report it, Google or Yelp or Facebook may ignore it, but if you know exactly how they're violating policy, if they are going after somebody at the company by name, if they are using profanity, you can pinpoint that reason for getting that review removed, and they're more likely to do that. Unfortunately, if there's a review, especially on Google, if there's a review without a comment attached, there's not really a whole lot you can do unless it's part of a review bomb, which we'll dive into next. But the last part of that is just, if you are getting those negative reviews and you know they're from non-customers and they just won't listen to you about it, the next best thing to do is just to encourage your happy customers to leave good reviews. But let's back up just a little bit. First off, Justin, did you have anything to say about that one? I just kind of like went off on it.
No, I just thought it was very interesting that I didn't actually know that we were talking before, and you mentioned that reviews with 1 star that has, or actually a review that has no text, that could be any rating, just cannot be removed from Google. And I thought that was very interesting that they, if there's no text with the review, that Google makes it a little bit harder for you to get those removed from your account.
Yeah, but the one situation you can is when there's a review bomb.
Yeah, and so that's what we're going to talk about next, is review bombs, and this is kind of an internet phenomenon that's happening lately. And just to give an example, on January 28th of this year, actually, The American investment and trading app Robinhood was review bombed on the Google Play Store after their company decided to go ahead and restrict stocks buying to restricting stock buying to certain users, specifically GameStop. I don't know if everybody remembers this, but it was very recently. The app's rating actually went down from a 4-star rating to a 1-star rating pretty much overnight, with about 100,000 users reviewing their site, reviewing their app. They are actually sitting at a 2.4 stars right now. We actually checked before this meeting, and they're continuing to get review bombed to this day. We were seeing negative reviews about the past, so this can affect you into the future. And so now that we know what review bombs are, so it's just a lot of people on the internet leaving you a 0, 1-star, negative review about your business or product. Some of the things that you can do about this is, one thing is, don't sweat it too much. In the beginning stages of like a review bomb, Facebook or Google or the review system, they're pretty good about catching these, because if your business has a 5-star rating and then overnight you go down to a 1-star because there were 2,500 reviews posted on your Google My Business, they're going to see that and they're going to start removing those pretty immediately. It might not be immediately, but that if it isn't, then that means that you should probably reach out to them. Sometimes they will ignore you, but just keep reaching out to them. Make sure that you are saying, "Hey, look, these are not legit reviews. We need to get these removed from my account." So if you removed, let me back up. So after you've gotten those removed, what you would need to do is reach out to your existing customers. This is a way to help you kind of get your reviews, your rating back up. Once those reviews, if they're not able to remove all of them, your rating might suffer a little bit. So reach out to your happy customers, be honest with them, let them know exactly what happened, the reason why you were review bombed, if that makes sense. And then ask them to go out and make a happy comment or review about your business, and tell the customers about how they experience your business. And that can help you bring up your rating again.
Absolutely. That's always a good practice anyway, even if like you have a new business or you have a new listing, reach out to your happy customers. And technically you can't ask them to do it, but you can encourage them to leave good reviews about their experiences. Justin, what are like some examples where a business would get review bombed? I mean, the GameStop thing we understand, and people have varying degrees of like if that was a good reason. But let's say like, I don't know, a restaurant lays off a bunch of people illegitimately, and then sorry.
Yeah, no, that's a great example. A restaurant laying off a bunch of employees illegally or in some kind of way. A lot of the review bombs that happen are actually along the line of games in the gaming world. Another example that I've heard about in the past is some companies will push their employees to do overtime for a long time to push out a game faster. So they'll have their employees for the last 6 months of a game working 12 to 14-hour shifts. And that actually came out into light to the public, and people did not like that. So their company actually got review bombed because of that, because they were making their employees work so hard on their game and not giving them a break. So there are a lot of reasons for people to review bomb. It's kind of that cancel culture kind of thing. It's kind of a relation thing where you need to before you make any like huge judgment on anything like that regarding your business, you got to understand how it's going to affect your review system too.
Yeah, like I said, we live online nowadays, so we express our opinion online, and it's finally, it's at a point now where our opinion matters. It is worth it to note though that a lot of review platforms will remove reviews from employees for that reason. Just because I know on Google, if someone leaves a review that, oh, I worked for this company and it was terrible, that is a violation of Google's policies. So you can get those removed. Reviews from employees, they say that like those types of things belong on Glassdoor or on LinkedIn. But on most review platforms, that is actually a violation. So that's one thing to note. Although if people who know that may not mention that they were employees, which it's harder to prove at that point that that's the case. Well, that is interesting. So let's dive into maybe some best practices for legitimate reviews, both good and bad, and how we can use those best practices to really improve reputation management across your company.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to go first?
Yeah, I was going to start with this one. This is something that we actually started doing recently with Denver Data Web, is going through all of our reviews that we have on Google and Facebook and all that, and responding to them, bad or good, and making sure that they're heard. And I think this is something that should be practiced for everyone. As soon as you get a review, go ahead and respond to it. Just don't put it to the side. Just go ahead and just make the response and just get it out of the way.
Another thing that you can do is in your review responses, we know that as of recently, Google especially takes the keywords that are in your reviews into account as far as your listings SEO. In the same respect, using those keywords in your responses can also help. So I think it's a lesser degree than in the actual initial review, but it does factor in. So doing that, it doesn't really help your reputation management exactly, but it does boost your SEO a little. So that's something to note. Another thing to pay attention to is if someone leaves a really bad review, offer to have them contact your business, or offer to have them contact you to offer a way to make up for it. A while back, I had a situation where an appliance company, I just had a very, very bad experience, and I left a bad review, and the company actually, someone else took it over and left a comment on my very old bad review, asking me to contact them. And when I did, she was just like, I just took over this company. I'm seeing a lot of this. Is there any way I can make it up to you? Can you come in and we can, look over some stuff? Technically, they can't pay you, and that's why I won't say what company it was. But she did offer a discount towards a new type of thing at that company. So I thought that was very big of her, especially since she took over this company that did kind of have a bad reputation. And I don't actually encourage that because it's not allowed, but I just thought it was an interesting way to deal with my bad review. In the situation where in other situations, you can just have them invite them to contact you to talk about some things like what happened. Let's see if we can work through this. Let's make sure it doesn't happen again. I'll talk to the employee that, anything like that. So always respond, good or bad. If it's good, say, thank you so much. We love having you as a customer, or something like that. If it is negative, offer a way to make it up to them. There's also quite a few things not to do. And this is kind of a more interesting list than the things to do, because there's a whole lot of mistakes that you can make when responding to, or not even just responding, when dealing with negative reviews. And the main thing, Justin, do you want to start us off with that one?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I see most is people just ignoring those bad reviews and not saying anything at all to them. I can't count how many times I've went to somebody's reviews and it's just bad review after bad review, and there's no response from the business owner or anything. So it's just kind of like, do they even care about this? Kind of thing. So let your user or your visitors or your customers know that you do care about them by responding to those bad reviews. I think the next one would be so don't in that reply to that bad review, do not point a finger at anybody in your staff or at them, or make any excuses for the reason why that was happening. Like Sarah said, offer them a way to contact you or find a way to make it up to them in some kind of way. But yeah, don't do it. Don't point any fingers in that comment. It just makes you look bad. And we've actually seen this happen before. So, although there is a really interesting example, and I've read it a few times. It's popped up on BuzzFeed and whatnot. There was an owner of an escape room who responded to a bad review with everything that these kids did in the escape room. They pretty much ripped it apart. They ruined the room, and then they left a bad review.
And so the owner did respond to it. It's actually really funny if you can find it, but he was just like, oh, they lit it on fire at one point or something. I don't remember all the details, but the owner did respond to the bad review, pointing fingers with everything these kids did. That's a unique situation. That's not really something you'd see every day. But in general, don't point fingers.
No, don't point fingers.
Unless
Oh, go ahead.
unless it's comical like that and it's going to go viral. Then do.
Then it might help your business a little bit.
Another thing not to do, don't try and remove reviews. It's usually not allowed. And it can also, it's usually just not allowed. There's not an option to do it. And I've seen situations where people reach out to Google, can you just remove this review? It's bad. It doesn't work. Don't do that. If you have a bad review and it is legitimate, especially, deal with it. You earned it. So another thing I've seen quite a lot is if there's a business with a bad reputation, there's the tendency to try and close your listing and start a new one. In the past, you could do it. In the past, Google and Facebook would allow it. Nowadays, there's algorithms that come into place that see when you're doing that, and they don't allow it. I've actually seen a situation where a company wanted to do just that. They closed their account. They opened a new one. All the bad reviews came back from it. So they had lost all their pictures. They lost all their descriptions, but all the bad reviews came back. So don't do that. It's a lot of work for nothing. And it's also, it's not very, it's not a trustworthy thing to do. So don't do that.
Not very ethical.
No, it's ethical. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, absolutely. And then the last thing to do, and I'm sure we've not only witnessed this, but been influenced by this without knowing, don't ever pay people to leave good reviews on your listing or to leave competitors bad reviews. Now, that's one of the most unethical things you can do. You end up creating a false impression about your business or about your competitor's business. It's also just bad juju. Don't do that.
Right.
Justin, have you run across situations seeing that, or like maybe just suspecting that it was happening?
Yeah, there has definitely been some times where I'm kind of looking at, either a competitor's reviews or a company we're working with, and I'm like, is this somebody paying for these? Because they either all look the same or all from the same time frame.
Yeah.
And you don't get any more. So yeah, you can kind of tell usually, but it is kind of hard to pinpoint that this is a paid review, but you can usually tell if it's, so.
Yeah, sometimes I'll notice if I'm reading something, I'm like, all of these reviews are like the same length. They're all use the same language.
Yep.
They're all posted within a few days of each other, and they're all great or they're all really bad. What's going on? It's not necessarily a business, but I was looking at something on Amazon yesterday, and every single picture, you could tell it was like the same package taken from different angles and in different rooms. People were like, this arrived broken, and every single one of them was broken in the exact same way. And these reviews went on for years. And I was like, either this company breaks everything in the exact same way before they send out this package, or this is the same person leaving this review in all these different ways. It was ridiculous, but it was also fascinating. And so anyway, I thought that was interesting. So also, it kind of goes back to best practices, but there are also some tools you can use if you are running a thriving business and you really do need help with that reputation management. Justin, do you want to kind of go into these a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I can talk about the ones that I've the one that I've used before is Yext, Yext Reviews. So Yext is a huge product. They have many products. One of the products that they have is Yext Reviews, which allows you to monitor and respond to your reviews across multiple platforms. It also helps you uncover new opportunities to improve your operations and win more business across those platforms using your testimonials and reviews. The Yext Reviews also helps you generate authentic reviews from your customers, and then it also helps you get those to to these review platforms. Have you ever used Bird Eye or Review Inc?
I have used Review Inc. I've heard of Bird Eye. I know that with Bird Eye there used to be the feature where you were able to like reach out to past customers in an email with a pre-worded review. I know that they did run into some trouble with that because it kind of I don't know, it broke some kind of violation. So they don't do that anymore. But I have heard a lot about that one. I know they've improved it since then. Things like Bird Eye and Review Inc. They almost work similar to like a MailChimp or a Constant Contact, where you can input your customers' information, their email or phone number, and just send out emails and reminders to either leave internal reviews on that app or that feature itself that you can then use for testimonials on your website or whatnot. But then they can also guide people in the direction to leave a Google review or a Yelp review or anything that you're working with. And there's a bunch of other features also. I haven't dove into those as much as I would maybe like to, just because they're so vast, and they're also you do have to be a little bit careful because you can easily kind of break violations with those. But they have a lot of features and they're really fascinating. But in a sense, it's just keeping track of the customers that you've had and keeping track of who has left reviews, and just kind of gently encouraging customers to leave positive reviews.
Yeah, I think one thing we haven't mentioned is like I think it's important to mention that if you have a good experience or even a bad experience with a company out there, is to go out and leave them a review. It helps them understand where they're lacking or where they're excelling at, and then also it kind of gets your point across, kind of thing. So don't be afraid to leave reviews. If we can get everybody trying to, I think if more reviews were left out in the world, I think it could improve businesses even more. I think it's important to go out there and leave reviews when you feel like anytime you feel happy or bad about an experience with a company.
Yeah, absolutely. Even neutral reviews. I mean, one thing to know is like, if you do have a neutral experience, don't leave a 3-star review. Like if you went in there and it was just not memorable, it's rude just to leave like, because 3 stars can be seen as bad.
Sure.
But I mean, I had a situation. I have this one restaurant near me, and we get to go food there a lot, and I love it. I love going there. But I love the food and everything, but they are kind of like a little bit rude. So in that way, I left a 4-star review because I love it and I love going there, and I'm not going to stop going there. But it is important, and I don't do it to like, I wasn't doing it to be rude. I wasn't doing it to harm the business. But I do think it's important that not only the owner sees that and like, oh, okay, maybe I can do something about this, but it's also important for, someone who's really, really sensitive, who they want to go there, but maybe they don't want someone to be rude to them.
Yeah. Great example.
But it's also one thing, and I kind of went off on a tangent there, but one thing that's really also important is a lot of people have a tendency to only leave the negative reviews. They have a bad experience, they leave a negative review. And that kind of leads to this really, this disconnect between a place that you maybe had a really good experience and you're like, oh, that was great, what a great day. And then you don't think about it again, or you just continue going there because you had a good experience. Put that down, make that public, help that company continue to serve people well by giving your opinion. We have the ability to do this, and we have the resources to finally be heard about our experiences, and give credit to the companies who are doing a good job. So
yeah, I actually have another example. I think we have a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I had a tree trimming service company come out last year to cut a couple of trees down in my backyard, and I called 7 or 8, I think it was, companies to come out and take a look at this tree, and they all gave me these crazy quotes, from like $2,000 up to like $8,000. The company that I called was like the small company. It had like 3 or 4 reviews, was a 5-star company. All the other ones had 5 stars too, but this was a smaller company. So I was like, I'm going to give him a chance, call him out here. This guy knew exactly what he was talking about. None of the people, like all the people who had the larger reviews, they didn't seem like they knew what they were talking about. You know, this guy was like, I'm just going to climb up the tree and cut it down myself, kind of thing, and that's exactly what he did. And I went with him and I left him a good review. But long story short is Google actually sends you a kind of like a digest of your reviews of how your review has been doing. And I think the last time I looked at it, it was like 600 people have seen your review, and he now has like 10 more reviews after mine. So I like to think that I have helped this man, you know, build some kind of business in some kind of way by giving this good review. So it makes you feel good once, because you do get that digest and you can see how many people have seen your pictures or looked at your review or liked your review and made it, or I think they say it made this review was helpful or whatever. You can click on it. So yeah, so I think it's a good thing to get out there and leave some reviews for some companies that you feel.
Yeah. And one thing that, yeah, we still have a few minutes, like kind of backtracking full circle. Back when, before we had this ability, it was just word of mouth. So you could always be like, oh, there's this great restaurant. I don't keep going back to restaurant. It's always my default. There's this great restaurant. You should go to it. And you tell all your friends and they go to it and they love it. It's just like that, but on a much larger scale. And we have the ability to do that. So it sounds cheesy. It sounds very cheesy, but share the love. Let people know when you like a place or when you don't like a place. And it's helpful. It helps people. It helps the people, the companies and the businesses that you like and that you know, it helps people's businesses grow. So yeah. It kind of goes off the subject of like reputation management for your own business, but I mean, you know, people in general, leave reviews.
Share the love. If you can help another company's online reputation, maybe somebody will take the time to help yours. Is kind of the thing. It's kind of like a sharing thing. It's like a social thing. We're all here to help each other figure out what company to go with. So
it's good juju, and it's also just, you know, business in general. Good stuff. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, we covered a lot today. Hold on one second. Hold on. I apologize.
Oh, it looks like somebody was in here. John Carter said, try Russianton. They are great. I'll have to take a look at that.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that one either.
Rushton. Let's look it up. I'm going to look it up right now.
Awesome. Well, okay, are you going to look it up while we're on the call, or do you want to end it?
No, we can go ahead and end it. I'll take a look and see if it's anything worth mentioning in our next chat.
Cool. Or you can put it in the comments if you find out that's cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we covered a lot today. It looks like we're finally at the end of our time. Look for a digital strategy chat each week at this time on Fridays. Be sure to check out our website at denverdata.com or our YouTube channel, which you can actually find now at denverdata.com/YouTube. And be sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and have a great weekend.